Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And as always, I date stamp this, and this one is year 3 blog 15, or in layman's terms, blog 119. And it's now dated the 2nd of the 6th, 2024. Yeah, we're moving further forward. We went to the 1st of the 6th yesterday. And the first thing my mum said was, you wouldn't believe it was bloody... you wouldn't believe it was June with the weather that we've got. And I have to say, it's been sort of overcast most of the week, and today, beautiful sunshine. Maybe that's an omen for later on. I'll talk about that later on. But we start off with the news, as we always do. And I start off with the war in Ukraine, as I've done since I started this blog. Nothing much to report this morning that I read. It said President Biden has given Ukraine permission to use American-supplied weapons to strike targets in Russia, but only near Kharkiv region. This is for counter purposes only, to hit back Russia forces, hitting them or preparing to hit them. Yeah, that was the word. I have to use these words specifically. This is after a report that 3 were killed and 16 injured in a residential area, and the weapons are to counterattack against ATAC long-range strikes. Yeah, most of these killings apparently have been used with advanced tactical long-range missiles, and ATAC is there to counter-strike those. And I think it is all tied up with the fact that Ukraine is not NATO, so they have to show that they are sort of like not supplying but are. It's that long-winded thing that I talked about many months ago, where we can supply things but can't be shown to help. So in other words, we can't go in there with our own planes and blow Russia up, but we can supply the planes and supply the training for them. All red tape crap. And just how long does it take to train a bloody pilot up? So it's all delay. And I'm sure they're hoping the money runs out. I just want the war ending with, to be quite honest. And that was pretty much the Ukraine news that I read. Not an awful lot going on. Good in many ways. But I hate to hear about unneeded deaths. All deaths are unneeded, but you know what I mean? A residential area, old age pensioners dying, hospitals attacked, power stations targeted, all that sort of stuff. So there isn't much in the rest of the news either, to be quite honest. It's been a pretty sort of like, I wouldn't say average week, but it's just been one of those flat lines, because as soon as a general election was announced, which was last week, the whole news has been about the campaign trail. So all we've got is the election campaign continues. I've heard a lot of it as being just lots of gaffes, politicians in boats falling out of boats while they're trying to show something off. Load of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And the big story, which happened pretty much, I think, Thursday night, was that Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts in his hush money trial. Obviously he came back saying it was rigged and all of this sort of stuff. I dare say Biden will be happy because he will think that you can't run for president if you've got a criminal record. He is going to be sentenced in the next 3 or so weeks. Many have reported, oh yes, you can run. So it's all sort of like a bit of a mix of things, and I don't know really the law enough to know whether who is telling the truth and who is not in regards to can he run, can he not. All I know is I think it would be a terrible step if Trump did go in as president, but I can see it happening. And I only see it happening because it happened once before, and I thought it was totally never going to happen. But I got proved wrong, so, you know. And that's really it. Like I said, very, very quick on the news. Glad about that, because, to be quite honest, it's really there just as a marker. The rest of this bit here is more about what's happened to me this week. And I left it last week saying about I was off on holiday, which I have been. Been a bit of a waste of a holiday, really. Usually when I'm booking a holiday, the first thing I'm thinking about is, oh, look at the lovely walks I can go on. Oh, just think of all of those jobs I can get out of the way. Every time I've gotten up, I felt very lethargic, not wanting to do anything, looking at the weather and going, oh, look at that, bloody overcast again. And then when I have gone for a walk, and I did go on a couple, and mowed the lawn for the last time before the mower got picked up to be repaired, which was Thursday, those chest pains, they're not, I call them sort of like the same sort of pain you'd get if you had indigestion, because that's all they are. That's all they feel to me, is like indigestion. Comes back and it brings back that, oh yeah, and on Monday you're going in for that procedure, and it just brings that starkness back. But I said that I would try and this week to distract myself, I'd do a lot more stuff on YouTube. I think I did well. I did a capsule review. I did a live chat with Ian Hill, the Ramblings. I did my own chat on Thursday, which was a one-off that I spoke to a couple of people on and said, do you think it's a good idea? Because I just wanted to fill a gap, to be quite honest. While a friend of all of us, Scott, the movie critic, he's taking some time off because he's exhausted. And don't blame him, to be quite honest. He did an awful lot. And I just thought, a stopgap. You know, he might come back in a week or two, and that meant that people haven't waited a long time to listen to all the stuff that's going on in Movieville. Do you know what I mean? But it was more, I put my own slant on it by saying it was a chat about anything, nostalgia TV, a bit like what Ian and I do on a Wednesday. And I tried to advertise it where I could. And for all intents and purposes, I think it went quite well. Unfortunately, life gets in the way, doesn't it? Ian and I were there. We waited a while, then had to start the stream because a couple of the guests were a bit late. And it ended up being actually an hour and a half of the Del Boy and Ian show at the beginning. But as soon as Nigel turned up, then Pete turned up, it turned into the foursome that it was supposed to be. And I had a blast. It's one of those things that can be quite difficult because you're sort of juggling an awful lot when you're reading through questions. You don't really want to read out the ones that are a distraction or could cause harm. If you read them out, and there was one that was read out that I found later on was quite nasty for my friend Pete. But it didn't distract too much. And he did say at the end that he really enjoyed it. That was great. And I hope it encourages him to come back and do some stuff. Trolling is not nice. And I don't understand the mentality behind it, to be quite honest. I don't know the reasoning behind it either, and I still don't know the reasons behind this particular case. But all I know is that I tried to keep it light. I think a lot of people liked it as well. There was a couple of my friends that said, where can I sign up to be on the next one? Which is all very good. And I accepted that, I needed a big push on this, and Nigel was the one that pushed it. He said, do it, but do it because you want to do it. I'm there for you if you need me. But I really did just want it to be a stopgap. I like doing my things with Denny the most because they're huge topics, They're not movie chat about, have you seen this trailer? Have you seen that trailer? Are you looking forward to this? And so forth, because they're all really good, but there's so many of those channels. And I like the discussion points, like the Charlton Heston dystopian future, the films of Laurel and Hardy, something that there's a topic on, because then you get like-minded people that are either there because they want knowledge, or they're there because they've got input themselves and want to share their memories. Also, it can start off somebody's collection. So I really like those. So what I suppose I'm really trying to say is that the week was quite good, really. Because then really there was just a prep for today's blog, and probably time for myself. But this is where my own muddled brain is causing me a problem. So tomorrow, as most know, I go in for my procedure, which is that I've been diagnosed with angina now, and I'm going in for a coronary angiogram. I have to keep looking at the writing on it because I can never pronounce it properly. And many people have said, it's been done 1,000,000 times, you'll be okay. But the trouble is, it's not being done to you, it's being done to me. So, of course, I'm not sleeping well. I'm worried. This goes on tomorrow. There's a lot happening tomorrow. I have to be up at 5:45 tomorrow morning. I've got my brother-in-law coming at 6:20. We will then travel to the nearest, where the hospital is. It's the nearest city to me, and I gotta be there for 7:30. And at 8:00, between 8 and 6:00 is any time that I'll be doing this investigation and then intervention. That's the word, intervention. And it's the intervention one that I'm more worried about. I remember my aunt came in this week and she told me not to worry, but she did turn around and say, by the way, they say it won't hurt. You will probably find it won't, but you will feel it. And I'm going, oh, that's great to know, isn't it? There I am, local anaesthetic. And this is going to happen because anybody who's been to a dentist and they put Novocaine in your gob, right? They say, you won't feel it. Bollocks, liars, a lot of them. Of course, you can hear it, you can feel it. It's dulled, that's all. And so I just keep thinking the worst all the time. And last night is a perfect example. Went to bed earlier than I normally do on a Saturday. Didn't sleep until 3 a.m. Woke up every hour. Got up about 8:30, 9. Couldn't take it anymore. And then just finished off my notes and started the blog. And everything in my mind has been about a little bit to do with me, quite an awful lot in regards to the next week. Because at the end of the day, if this is supposed to also help with my hypertension, how quickly are they going to change my tablets? Is it immediate? See, there's a question. The next one is how soon will it be before I can sort of like do some exercise like walks? I'm taking it pretty much almost immediately. How quickly can I go back to work? I suppose that's going to be down to how I feel. And a lot of me is thinking go back immediately, and other ones are go back when you feel it's right. Yeah, you know, because there is 7 days where I can't drive. And the reason for that is that you're still in that ballpark area where things can go wrong. So do I want to invoke a stroke? No. So a lot of friends have come up and said exactly the same thing to me. Don't worry about it. We're thinking about you, you know, and we're 100% sure it's going to be okay. And when it comes to work, don't think about it. Go when you feel it's right. This is not like you're going in to have, I don't know, a toenail cut short, or you're going to have a splinter removed. You're having heart preparations that is going to change the rest of your life. You don't, therefore, go back early on that. So a lot of those discussions happened this week. So Monday was really just a bank holiday Monday, and I enjoyed bank holiday Monday. It was the start of the holiday, really, and it just felt like a normal Monday, i.e. not being at work. But I did notice there was very, very few bank holiday things that I remember. You know, normally there'd be a Bond film on, there'd be a Carry On film on, all of this. There was nothing. It was almost like it was a normal Monday, which I thought was really weird. Tuesday came along, and that's when I knew that everybody was back at work. I went for a walk, did some shopping for my mum, and I played on my Planet Crafter game and watched a number of videos from my friends, so that was nice. Wednesday was Ian Hill, The Ramblings live, and that was over 4.5 hours again, which I tell you what, really was the highlight of the week up until that point, because it distracted me. It distracted me from thinking about the operation, the prep. So Thursday came along, and it was all about doing the thumbnail and the advertisement for my own chat that evening. I have to think about this for a moment. I think I did my video capsule review on the Monday or the Tuesday. I hope people watched that and had fun. It was a comedy. I wanted to be cheered up. It was The Three Amigos. Great film. And I really enjoyed watching that again. So the chat came along, and I've talked about that already. Couldn't ask for such nice people to support me on a chat. A number of my friends joined. A lot of people that would follow Pete and Nigel. Those are Rock God, by the way, 2004, and Playtendoguy. And I really appreciated them joining in and watching. And we had some great fun. And Friday was weird because I was waiting for Mamemeister's waffle, and of course it didn't happen, unfortunately. Life gets in the way. He's going to do that, I think, on Monday, but he's still doing his Sunday stream tonight, which is brilliant. I like conformity, you know what I mean? It's nice to know that on a Sunday there's something to look forward to, and when it arrives you've got a couple of hours of just pure nostalgic goodness. Do you know what I mean? But then it's the end of Sunday and you go, oh, back to work Monday, and for me it's the operation. So all those games that he'll be playing, I want to play straight afterwards, but it's 9 at night. So I can't do it. The enthusiasm has gone really by Monday. And I think really that covers my week, because I covered quite quickly that the lawnmower got picked up on Thursday. So I did the lawn outside on Wednesday. It wasn't raining in the afternoon, thank God. And I pushed the mower. It's the drive belt that's gone. So pushing that mower, and it's a petrol mower, so it's quite heavy, was quite difficult for me. That's when I know I still need this. As much as I'd like to turn around and say, I'm getting better, no, I need it. So I've got that in my head now. It's a must thing. Gotta do it. Yeah, that's now in my head, permanent. That's not going to go away. It's it's just the scariness of it all. And tonight will be the worst. Whether I'll sleep tonight, I don't know. I'll try. And then, of course, tomorrow will be a weird day, because, I've got to be observed 24 hours afterwards. I don't know how long I'll be there for. My brother-in-law is going to be, well, I don't know what he's going to do. He'll be there at 7:30. And then what does he do? Go home, use my car, drive to Oxford, go into the centre, have a coffee, wander around. I've given him carte blanche to use my car. He's insured on it, so that's all sorted. That's it, really. So at the end of that procedure, I'll be coming home. They say I'll feel woozy. And the next day will be get watched, observed, especially at night, that first night. And then he'll be gone in the morning, Tuesday morning, because he's going to stay over. And it will be recover. The funny thing was, my friend Ian Hill said, you don't need to do Wednesday if you don't feel up to it for the live stream the next week. So I made a joke, and it wasn't a very good joke. It was a horrible joke, really. I said, well, you could make it my obituary. If everything goes wrong, you're going to be one of the first people they'll know. And I was laughing. He said, well, no, that's not a nice joke. And I went, no, I was flippant with it. But it's just one of those things, that just come into your brain. It just shows how much of a muddle my brain is at the moment. And I don't think there's anything else to report. Telly's been awful. The weather's lovely today. I've pulled up a few weeds, made the garden look a little bit better. Charged up the power tool batteries. Started to sharpen the kitchen blades. I've got a sandstone. Do it the proper old way, a sandstone with water and oil and the blade at a certain angle and so forth to try and get a nice edge. So I've done all of those because those are repetitive, don't need too much of a brain to do, and they take time to do. So they've taken that sort of dwelling away. My mouth is getting really dry. So I brought 2 lots of drinks. That's better. And so that really ends my diary part. So we'll get on with the shout-outs. Going through this quite quickly. It might be a short one today. And the shout-outs, oh my God. Because of the live stream and everything, there's quite a few of them. The ones towards the end will be ones that were mentioned in the stream or in the video capsule review that I did. But every single one of them was welcome, and it doesn't matter where you put it. I love a good comment. I love going back and just reading what people have thought about it. So without further ado, and in no particular order, the shout outs this week are Martroid, Ian Hill the Ramblings, Jim Jam Movies and TV, Bushman Blue, Andy's Cardboard Star Wars, Danny Jukes, Robert's Retro Gaming, Denny, Steve's Gaming, Stephen Taylor, James Chavez, Jambon, Slipknot Fan, Seb's Place, David's Retro Games Play Badly, and Mac Chats. Every single one of them. Thank you so much. And if you haven't noticed with some of those names, some of these have channels. Ian Hill, The Ramblings is definitely a channel. Jim Jam Movies and TV got a brilliant channel. Oh my God, recently I've subbed to him. And his Cardboard Star Wars is a great channel. Robert's Retro Gaming we talk of all the time. Steve's Gaming, what a man. Seb's Place, David Retro Games Play Badly. So many here. They have video or video game related channels. Definitely worth your time. So we'll do the questions part. My God, under half an hour. And these are in, again, no particular order. I'm just going to read them out. And every single one of them, thank you so much. You wouldn't believe how much of a good distraction it is to know that there's a comment for me to read on Sunday. Because I don't read these till Sunday. I just put a heart against them so that they don't disappear. Amazon have got this weird thing of, you know, just basically making the comment disappear for some unknown reason. I have no idea. So the first one we've got is Jambon. And it says here, "Hi Dell, not sure if I've made the deadline for this week. I'm a bit behind on your blogs. Sorry, due to various house-related problems that have taken up most of my time. Anyhow, just wanted to say hello and to wish you and your mum all the best. Take care, sir." And thank you so much. What a sweet, nice thing. I have an apology as well because I was hoping in my week off that I might get okay enough for me to travel on the train and go and see you in Birmingham this week. We were going to go to a theme event, you know, one of these restaurant type, arcade club type things where they've got pinball tables and arcade machines. And my friend Denny wanted to ask if he could come along as well. And with the operation, I just thought, no, I'm not going to risk it. Probably something I'm regretting now, but I do hope I'm going to have a fast recovery. I do hope I'm going to be able to do that. And I do hope that Pinfest is going to be happening this year so that we can meet up. Now, every time Pinfest has come along, it's always been the end of August. So there's still a lot of time. So I'm hoping that's going to happen as well. Last year was so exciting because I went to the Zap event and I went to Pinfest. So I went to a number of things last year, more than I've done any other year, and had a blast every time I went to one of them. The events may not have been as good, especially the Zap one. But they were still firsts, do you know what I mean, to do. So we'll move on anyway, and we get to Stephen Taylor. And he's put, "Hi Del, I just wanted to leave a message wishing you all the very best for Monday. Hopefully there will be no complications and you make a quick and painless recovery. I just have a quick question for you. Do you know roughly how many films and TV shows you own? And do you like to keep them all neatly sorted A to Z on shelves, or is storage space a real issue for you?" I have this virtually in every blog, in the fact that I don't know if anybody's really noticed, but every time I do the end of my blog, I show what I purchased this week. And there was a reason for that at the very beginning of my blogs, which was to tell my nephew and niece, if anything ever happened to me, what was new, what was old, what was worth something, and what could be chucked away. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not worth a penny and probably not something that you'd want to watch yourself. And then it turned into a fun thing, you know, because it turned out to be something like, oh, I know, at least I know what's been released this week. Because sometimes it's really difficult to find a YouTube or web channel that tells you what exactly has been released on physical media this week in Britain. It's probably a little bit easier to find out what's happening in America. There's Walmart charts, Better Buy charts, etc., etc. And there's lots of YouTube people doing reviews, and there's also all sorts of announcements that say in the month of August this is going to be released and this is going to be released, and they've all got dates next to them. I don't think we have quite that in the UK. You have to do a bit more delving. So yeah, each one of those, things I've bought on physical media have cost money. Some of them are pre-orders, and some of them were bought months ago and have only just turned up. Others have only just turned up, and they only charge you at the moment they send them out to you. So sometimes on certain weeks I've spent an awful lot of money, and other weeks there's been nothing. I've actually had very little to show, and the trailers and stuff I do at the end would therefore be just what I watched on TV or on physical media that week. So what I'm trying to get at here is that storage space is definitely an issue. Most people know I used to live in a 3-bedroom house. I now live in a 1-room. This is the room I live in. It is 19 foot long by 9 foot wide. 9 foot wide. 19 foot long. And therefore you can't put shelves up. There's just no room for them. There's no room for shelving units. The bed takes up, the bed. I think you can see the headboard just, where is it? Just there. Boop, boop, boop. That oak or pine headrest you can see there is the bed pointing at the TV at the end. So there's pretty much no room in here. So everything is in these sort of like cases. You can see them there. The pile gets higher each week. Some people say it's like Jenga. But I think I've got nearly 3,000 or 4,000 films and TV series. I've got a piece of a program called the Collectors Series. It's by a company that's been around for doing it for 20 or so years. And to be quite honest, they're the best database programs I've ever used. And they do them as diversely as movies, comics, books, music. What's the other one? Games. And you scan the barcode and it brings in all the information. And it even brings in the information about, when it comes to comics and games, how much they're worth. It brings in a price tag value, on the second-hand market. If something is in near mint condition and that, especially for comics. So it's got a price market thing built in. And the trouble is, when something comes in, you're supposed to scan it with a barcode so that you don't lose one. Trouble with me is I plonk them on there, and then eventually I go, oh, I haven't scanned those, and I have to go scan, and you miss one. And then there are cases of them all outside that door that's behind me, all with the same amount of stacking. So there's like 9 stacked just outside the door. Past my wardrobes, there's another stack of 9. Upstairs there is a stack of 14, and a couple in the attic, which are still in their cellophane. So yeah, about 4,000, and I've catalogued a good third of them. The program allows me to give a one-time web link so that people can see my collection, and then that web link dies. You can't see it for a second time. And I've given that to some of my friends. I don't know if they ever looked, but it's great because it shows you all the steel books I've got, which ones are widescreen, what directors they are, when I bought them, and so it gives you a lot of stats like the film series, or should I say the amount of films that were made in a year. And it seems in my collection that the most Blu-rays and 4Ks I've got are at the moment in the 80s. The majority of them, and I think it's probably because of all these 40th anniversaries. So I do roughly know. I don't have them in A to Z because it's impossible to do because of the storage space situation. So I'm glad I've given you a sort of like a quite complex and long answer to it. I long for the days of being able to put these onto shelves. That will happen. But it was always down to the point of I need my own place to do that, really. So I did have a word with my mother actually about 6 months ago and said, did you mind if I put shelving, not shelves on the wall, but shelves that you could just assemble and lean against the wall, like a bookshelf type thing? And she said, yeah, as long as it doesn't look ugly. So I might lay back on buying quite so many films and start looking at putting things on shelves. I think it would make my life so much better and declutter my room an awful bit. But you have to remember that that's all down to the fact that this is not my house. I don't own it. So, I'm down to where I can put things. And I have control of what I can do in my room, but not control of the rest of the house. So, yeah. Thank you so much. And my salute to you, Stephen. Thank you. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for all the caring, nice words. Then we get to I've just looked. Chapter and verse, guys. It's my mate, Denny. Oh, such a nice bloke. He's phoned me up twice, this week to make sure I'm all right. And yet he's got his own problems. This is the type of person that really wants me to be okay and well. Really is. I mean, he's almost like a brother to me. That's how close I am with Denny. So I'm just going to read it out verbatim, and I do every week. I don't miss out any words or anything. I believe he's got a voice and it needs to be heard. So here we go. He's put, hiya, mate. I can't do his accent. Hiya, mate. I know you've not had the best of weeks with your health, so rest up as much as possible, and I'll look forward to when the doctors make you feel better. I have no doubt once things are sorted, the sky's the limit as far as your films and video production. Hope, as always, your mother has had an enjoyable week. And just to say, my mother's not in the background. I always covered my mother, but with my health, people have wanted to know a little bit more about me. My mum's had an interesting week. I don't know quite what she's going through since I told her about the procedure I'm going through tomorrow. I am worried about her on how she will be. So all I am is gathering up all my strength to make sure I get through it, and that I come back and it will just be, your son's come back and he's got a smile on his face and he's perfectly all right. That's what I'm showing my mother every day. Just a big smile. You want a cup of tea? Not a problem. Want me to go and get you a burger? Not a problem. Do you want your favourite biscuits from Sainsbury's this week? Not a problem. All of that. That's what I do. It's what, if I had that taken away from me, I don't know what I'd do. So in some ways, she's helping me. So anyway, my week. Well, I broke my toe on my right foot last Sunday, so that was a bad start to the week. Also, I'm mentally jaded with most things currently. Quite hard to shift the haze in my head. It'll pass, no doubt. And to top it off, I had to work Bank Holiday Monday. Glad to see the back of it. Yeah, my God. I mean, just look. Those are 3 lines. Broke his toe, had to go to work, things on his mind. This is where I just feel I can't help. And all I want is my friends to be in a good place. But I know that you can want in one hand and shit in the other, and I know which hand will fill first. So wishes don't generally come true when I try for them, but I do wish him well. Totally understand where you're coming from when the doctors or nurses say you'll be all right. Like you say, you bloody sit here. Similar thing when I go to the dentist, as I have a massive phobia of things in my mouth. I absolutely dread it. I have to have IV sedation, midazolam, and that was in the news over the COVID scandal of care homes. Yeah, if I remember, I do remember the certain drugs were used that were mentioned during COVID. Yeah, can't quite remember the full stories of them though. You continue. Squirrels in the garden. I used to catch them in traps and then let them loose miles away. I haven't seen one in years now. Hopefully I won't. Oh God, they're all over my garden. I'll tell you what, they diminished down to 2 during the winter, and then back in the spring and the summer, 4 or 5 of them are jumping about. The little sods have had babies. And I tell you, they jump, they leap about and do somersaults. In my garden, it's almost like it's a Krypton Factor assault course. A Krypton Factor assault course. So you continue. Thanks for reminding me about the sci-fi production Dark Matter. I have it on Blu-ray, a program cancelled well before its time. The Dark Matter I spoke about last week is on Apple TV and I totally recommend it. Other stuff I watched this week was The Flash from 2023. That's the film. Wasn't that good at all, and I wish they'd move away from politics that seem to infest all films these days. The other film I watched, recommended by Steve on our Discord, was The First Omen. Not a bad tie-in to the main trilogy of films. No, that's what I've heard. It was one of those ones I wanted to see, didn't get to see, heard good reviews. I didn't want to hear any reviews because I wanted to go in there fresh. So it's what I'm looking forward to. The Flash, yeah, I thought it was a muddle. Not as totally bad as what people were saying, but not far from it. And I'd rather watch the Flash TV series, the first 3 seasons at least, than watch that film. Other people will poo-poo me down on that. Dark Matter, yeah, that was something that it was a good friend of Mamemeister and I's Ponder that no, not Ponder, it was Panther, that mentioned Dark Matter. He loved it. I think he mentioned it when it was in season 2. He was raving about season 3, but then Panther went on hiatus for a little while. Things got on top of me a little bit in regards to my own channel, stuff going on in life. I never knew whether the 3rd season was the end of it. And you mentioned it, and I tied it up with the old series, so apologies for that. But these other companies do buy up old IPs and use them, and I can't think of a better show. Dark Matter I had great fun with. Liked Ian's question on sliders. How about a never-ending live streaming world? Yeah, we were talking about worlds we could live in, and I said Star Trek, I think, at the end. And he said, oh, how about a live streaming world? Wow, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Suddenly ending up in Denny's channel or Mamemeister's channel, sliding into their world, or Rock Gods. My God, that'd be weird. Enjoyed Seb's last video on the possible worst Commodore 64 game. I recommended Explorer, terrible on the Spectrum and the Commodore 64. To this day, I don't know anybody who knows how to play it. The game boasts billions of locations, which all look the same. No thanks. Yeah, and of course I mentioned Seb's bit later on. That's the fun thing about reading out these messages, because some of them will include things that I have actually watched and will comment on in my own section. So he's got a question for me this week. Question for this week. I hear you mention Dolby Atmos and DTS. Which, in your opinion, sits better with your ears, and give us some examples? where both sound formats shine, stand out from the rest with your film discs. Oh, wow. Well, I did cover it quite in depth last week because there was a question in regards to bands own Blu-ray, like concerts and stuff that have been put on Blu-ray, and they've been giving a new Dolby Atmos track. Because I said it wasn't a gimmick, and it's not. What you have to understand is what Dolby Atmos does and what DTS does. They do similar things, but what a Dolby Atmos speaker system does is it has the normal 5.1 surround sound system that we've loved for decades, yeah. But when you've got Atmos, it not those two speakers that you've got at the two speakers that you've got left and right at the front, and the two speakers you've got left and right at the back, which fire sound out forward. There are two speakers additional that go on top of those. So each of those speakers has got another speaker on top, and those fire upwards. And they're cones. So basically they bounce off of, the architecture of your room. And that is including with the front speaker, which is generally the narrative speaker, the speaker where most of the voices will come out of. And then you've got the discrete sub-channel bass speaker, which is the 0.1 of the system. That's why you get 9.1, 5.1, 7.1, etc., etc. So there used to be Dolby Digital and DTS. Those were the two. Because THX sort of like went away as a theatre system many years ago. But it was a certified program that you lived up for. Not many people could afford the THX brand on their films, or let alone the equipment to have it in your home. So what I tend to find is if you've got a DTS system and it's a 5 or a 7.1 system, it suits certain films, and then the Atmos one suits others. So what would an Atmos system suit the best? If it's firing upwards and the sound is therefore above you, it really suits films that have got an action scene or a drama scene or a comedy scene or whatever, horror scene, where something is above you. So you can imagine a war scene is brilliant because you've got all those shots, the things that ricochet when they hit concrete or whatever, or helicopters flying overhead, or jets flying overhead, or spaceships that are all around you, zipping left and right, and all of those sort of things. Because you've got the spatial sound that goes from left to right, but you've also got them above you. So it immerses you in sound. It's like a bubble of sound. 7.1 less so, but 7.1 really works well when you've got something like requires a lot of front sound coming at you. I remember when Mamemeister was here about a year and a half ago, I put on one of the oldest, really, really, oh my God, listen to this films. And it happened to be Superman the movie. And this has now a Dolby Atmos track, but it's also got the standard 5.1, 7.1, 2.0, and so forth. And I put the wrong one on first. And I went, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Because he was looking at it and he was going, yeah, that sounds brilliant. When I put the right one on, he went, wow. So, take it like this. He went away after listening to this introduction to a 1978 film. 77, is it? 77, 78? Superman the movie. And bought himself his own Atmos soundbar. That's how much he thought, wow. Because, I don't know if you've noticed about Superman the movie, it starts off in mono. It has a little boy talking about the Daily Planet. And it zooms in on a comic. And then the curtains go away. you fly over the Daily Planet and suddenly you're in space, and you've got the titles that come in. These were award-winning titles. They come in sort of like vectors swooping in towards you. And when they get to a point that's in front of you, they glow and then disappear behind you with a shh noise. So all the way through this title sequence, you've got the incredible John Williams score, and you've got the titles with this swoosh noise that go shh, going behind you. That works, I feel, on a DTS system. Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with the Atmos. It's just that there's nothing above. There's nothing below. You can mix it, but you're mixing something that really... Atmos was designed for hearing birds chirping in the background. Helicopters, like I said. Ambient sounds. And if you have a scene where there's not a lot of ambient sounds, then you might as well just have the old system. That's pretty much how it works. There's very little science in it. Dolby Atmos has its place, and it sounds fantastic when used. Brilliant. But there's nothing wrong with 7.1, and you get equally wow, as shown by the Superman the movie. Just a perfect example. So go forth and buy your sound channel, your sound bars, I go with a dedicated amp, but I'm old school. But there's nothing wrong with these sound bars. I'll tell you what, these sound bars sound gorgeous. I've been in a few houses where they've got them and I've gone, wow, didn't know it sounded like that. Yeah, and it cost a fifth of what I bought mine at. So, it all depends on what you want, what comfort level you want, etc., etc. Of course, always think about the neighbours, not. So we end then. Keep in touch. I'll be speaking with you at some point this week. Pass on my best to your mother. And you betcha I'll be doing that. Thank you so much, my friend Denny. Salute to you. Then we get to Ian Hill, The Ramblings. And as you know, got his own channel, as does Denny. Denny's just done a Whizball video. It's doing incredibly well. I call that the quintessential Whizball documentary. It really is spot on. Everything is covered in that documentary. I don't think you need to ever look at another one after watching that. Unless you just like watching people play the game, and seeing people die at different places. So we get to Ian Hill, The Ramblings, and he's put, thank you for your blog. Always a regular part of my Sunday now. Also, it was great you were on 2 live chat streams. One was mine and the other was yours. I thought you made your stream well organised and very entertaining. It was good to see. Hopefully you might consider doing more in the future. Do you know what? I might do a Q&A. Might do one of those polls that say, would you like me to do this? The reason for it is that I don't mind doing them, but the idea was just a stopgap. I've already got my second person lined up to interview. And the chat, the interviews then is to get into the background of the people that we love to watch, The chats are great, but there's a lot of them. And I don't also want to take up a time slot that is used by a well-established person that does the same thing. Do you see what I mean? This is just me not making excuses, but knowing that I've got a lot of friends out there that do something similar, and I don't want them thinking that I'm treading on their toes. I know a lot of people say, all you need to... The answer to that is always Sodom. Do what you want to do. It's your channel. But I like to work with people. I like to collaborate with people. I don't want them to think, here's this newcomer whippersnapper that's taken up something that I did, and now people are swarming away from me to go to him because he's new. Don't want any of that nonsense. But as Nigel said, and he really is like an angel on my shoulder, do what you want to do, mate. And understand that I'd come on again, he said. I'd come on again. I'm pretty sure that if you asked the people that you've been with chat shows on, they'd want to come on. And I have to say, I definitely would like Denny on. I definitely would like Jim Jam on. And Muckman-Movies. They're all ones that I've just recently been watching their channels on. And I tell you what, they'd have an interesting perspective, and I'd get to know them a lot better. And of course, we can share similar experiences. So yeah, watch this space. Maybe you'll have a comment for by next week for me on whether I should do that or not. Monday is drawing. You continue. Monday is drawing near now. My thoughts are with you and wishing you a healthier future where you can enjoy your life better and feel stronger when giving the care your mother needs. Hope she is doing okay. Thank you for sending me a birthday gift of the film How the West Was Won, 1962. Yeah. My pleasure. That's it's his birthday. He's supported me and got me a no end of subscribers in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Thank you so much for that. That I wanted to send him something that I myself and my father loved, that he might have also have seen. Now, this is a guess. Everything I do is a guess. It's based on what I know, right? So when it comes to the stuff that I've sent Nigel this week, guess. But an easy guess. Easier guess with Nigel. Harder guess with Ian. Because Ian is so new to me. But I watch his channel and I get to know what he likes. So he's going through his X-Files at the moment and he's watching all these Hitchcock films. So I think to myself, no point buying a Hitchcock film. Bloody got them. You know what I mean? But you never know totally what people have got. And he's quite welcome to have a list of everything I've got if he wanted to know what I've got. There might be some interesting ones in there that he'll go, oh, wow, I haven't thought about that film in years. And that's because in the years going back, and you got to remember that I'm not a young whippersnapper that's just been around in the last year doing this. These books I was buying yearly, these Leonard Maltin's movie guides that list every film and give them a rating. And I used to buy my films and mark them off in here that I'd got them. You know what I mean? If somebody needs to do something like a top 100 or a top 20, it's incredibly hard to do when you consider how many films are in that book. You know, I mean, the stuff that you haven't seen. And so I always find if I did a top 100, the next day it'd be a different top 100. Never be the same. Find it very, very difficult. It's why I hate answering questions. What's your top 10 sci-fi? What's your top 10 comedies? Because I have to poo-poo it and turn around and say, how can somebody who's been watching films as long as I have and has got a physical media collection that goes into the thousands narrow things down to 10? There's bound sure to be one that I've forgotten. And there will always be cross-bred films, you know, ones that go not only in sci-fi but in horror. Sci-fi horror, in other words. Horror comedy. Drama comedy. Drama science fiction. And so forth. And they're hard to pigeonhole. So even if you were to say the top 10 in the drama sci-fi mark, I'd be going, really? Where do you start? So it's not like I don't like those questions. It's just, what can you do? Like, what's your favourite 10 B movies was asked to me a couple of weeks ago. I'll do the best I can. But it's just, oh my God, how many B movies have I seen through the years? Narrow it down to 10. And then obviously someone will come along and go, nice list, but my list would be this. And you can't fault it. You'd go, oh yeah, I wish I'd have thought of that film. Yeah, I've watched that one. Yeah, I'd have put that one higher than. You see what I mean? They're great to listen to, but bloody hard to actually get out there, if you see what I mean. So he's put, thank you for the birthday gift out of the West. I love this great historical epic. I know now I watched this as a child in 1967 in Leeds when the mobile Cinerama came to the city. I did some Googling to get the date. I'd forgotten all about it. Really happy to have this memory brought back to life. We went to as a family to the screening. I found out also that the National Museum of Science and Media in Bradford have the only cinema in the country that can show Cinerama now. Occasionally, they have done special screenings. Yeah, if you want to know, Cinerama. I don't know if you noticed that when you watched films, especially ones at Bank Holiday and you'd watch the Ten Commandments, they all said in Technicolor or in Cinerama or etc. etc. They were done because of the type of camera technique or cameras that were used. How the West was one was done with 3 widescreen cameras stitched together. So you can imagine you've got, instead of one camera on a tripod, you had 2 others to the left and right of it filming the same scene, which gave it a very wide panoramic view. But the trouble is, when you get to the edges, they'd round off. So if you had a horse come on, it would be dead flat there, but when it gets to that side, it would be going away. It'd sort of go like a curve, right? Usually call them vinaigrette. But what I'm actually getting at is there's 2 versions of that film on there. One's letterboxed and one's in the proper Cinerama ratio. And when you watch that, it's like watching a film in a fishbowl. But it really does add. You want to see some of these scenes where the buffalo and everything are running across the screen. Weirdest thing to look at. But you want to see the vistas. Nothing looks better to me than the Wild West with a camera that can pick up all of those hills, valleys, and mountains. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I would so wish to have a 4K of that. Really do. So you continue. Now, there was a great cast in that film. One of those actors appears in To the Devil a Daughter, which is a Hammer film, by the way, 1976. Yeah, the last Hammer film of that era. It was Richard Wildmark. Yes, it is Richard Wildmark. Yeah. So my question this week is: pick 5 favourite films of Richard Wildmark. Oh, you bastard! After I've just said about top 5s and shit. Well, How the West Was Won, To the Devil a Daughter. There's 2. Judgment at Nuremberg. Yeah, saw that bank holiday literally only 3 months ago. Brilliant film. Judgment at Nuremberg. Yeah. A film I've mentioned in the past that a lot of people sort of like fly by a little bit. Coma. It's one of those books to films that has Michael Douglas in, where there's a conspiracy going on in a hospital where people are going into comas and you have to work out what's going on. Eerie film. Oh, and how can I forget? Last year, no word of a lie, I was talking to Nigel and we were talking about films that we watched with our dads. And I happened to mention a film that I couldn't remember the title of, about somebody going around bombing up fairground rides. And he came up with a title. He said, it's Roller Coaster. I went, oh yeah, Roller Coaster. That's right, Roller Coaster. What a film. And I looked it up and you could buy it and it was quite cheap. And Nigel didn't have it, so I bought it for him as a thank you. And there's 2 versions on that film as well on there. There's a long version and a short version. Roller Coaster was brilliant. It's sort of like a Columbo type film. Who is it that's bombing these fairground rides? Doing it all for money. You've got these, you follow this sort of like special unit trying to get to the person who's making all these bombs up. And it's a thrilling film of its time. It's very early 70s, must be what, 1970, 71? Off the top of my head. But wow, yeah, Roller Coaster had a a hit for me because I saw it at such a young age with my dad. I think I was off sick from school, and I just loved it. Thought it was brilliant. Probably because I like fairground rides as well. I always liked fairground rides because I used to like going to the arcades. But I could imagine being in the States and going on all the rides, you know, carousels, roller coasters, everything. So roller coaster, yeah. Don't think there's any others that come to mind. No, I'm going to leave it there because that is 5, and I think those are 5 very good films. I don't think you can go wrong there. Thank you very much, Ian. Please, if you haven't subbed to him, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, please do so. Then we get to Robert's Retro Gaming, and he's put, oh, as I've always said, this is arcade game royalty. I mean, you want to see his channel, it's like every day there's like 1 or 2 releases every day, right? He's put, hello, good Sir Dell. Sadly, I'm unlikely to be able to watch much of this blog, and this is the one that's just gone. I will squeeze 10 minutes at a time in here and there. I'm on a trip with my wife. Well, you can understand it when you're on a trip. I'm on a trip with my wife, touring Newfoundland, the easternmost province of Canada, for our 30th wedding anniversary. Regarding the election, I hope things improve for the average person afterwards. Don't worry about the Americans. If any of them are even aware of the election, their thought is likely to be, why would they hold an election on Independence Day? Shouldn't they be drinking and shooting fireworks? Because I did mention that. I said, what a day to have it is Independence Day. Anyway, of course, any Americans watching your channel are far too intelligent to think about such things. All the best to you and your mum, and try to relax during your testing and while waiting for the results. Well, it's not really testing and results, matey. It's an intervention. But thank you so much. The sentiment is there, and I know you mean me the best of health. So thank you very much, my friend. And we move on. So salute. We've got Bushman Blue, and he's put, hi, mate. I really need to give The Long Good Friday another watch. The last time was when I was a teenager, and I wasn't a fan. I'm in my 50s now, so I should enjoy it. I have Jack the Ripper already in my wish list. Thanks for the video, and it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Jack the Ripper, probably the best thing I bought last week. $12.99, 2 discs, 3 hours, Michael Caine, Jack the Ripper. Can't go wrong. Absolutely brilliant. The Long Good Friday. Yeah, I have watched it now. I watched it this week. I enjoyed it. It's a different type of film. It's that you can see it's British. You know what I mean? Very gritty, violent. Bob Hoskins shines, but you know, there are films over in the States that got Gene Hackman in that are very similar, and I think the British film stands up against those. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with it, matey. If you're waiting for a sale, by all means do so. But if you can get a digital copy and you're blown away from it, you can't really go wrong with that Arrow box set. My God, it's got lots of extras and things in there. Salute, my friend, to you. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. We get to Colin Jones, a.k.a. Ponder. Here we go. I wonder what he's put this time. Got his own channel, brilliant. Go and watch it. His cycling one this week was absolutely marvellous, spot on. So he starts off, troubled times with your heart, but finally it seems things are progressing towards a solution. Yes, and I'm hoping it's the end of it, matey, when we get to end of tomorrow. You've asked a question. Excuse me. Is there an end to Planet Crafter? Now, that's the game I've been playing just recently. I've only done 2 videos on it. My friend Steve has done, well, I'll tell you later on how many he's done. But, yeah, he's done 20 times mine. Is there an end? Yes, several. There is that I know of, there is just getting off the planet because you've completed all the tasks. Boring one, really. There's another one that leaves a horrible taste in your mouth that I've been told of. It's sort of like a semi-sweet end. You know what I mean? It's not like you've done it all and you go off and you pat yourself on the back. It's almost like those messages that are all the way through it, you know, where they say, I've crash landed on here, I'm so lonely, all of this sort of stuff. There's one that ends a little bit like those other astronauts that died on the planet. And then there is the supernatural alien warden end that I know of. The wardens are a race that were on this planet before that you turned up on it. And they've left all of their spaceships and resources underground in the planet, and you need to find all the keys to actually take off from the planet using alien technology. That's the one I want to do. But you've got to find, I think, 24 keys. It's quite a hard ask. In one of the videos I did, I showed what the spaceship looks like because I found one of the caves where you can actually get to see the spaceship, but you can't actually get to it. There's a dampening field that stops you using your jetpack. Bastards. That's the programmers. Anyway, really looking forward to... Well, I was really looking forward to getting to the end. I told my friend Steve I was going to delete it off of my game list, you know, because I've gotten quite far. I'm now at the stage where I'm growing that mammals are now appearing on the planet. In other words, lizards, horses, goats, they're all starting to appear on the planet, which means that I'm not that far away from completing the game, because once you've got animal life growing on the planet, you've terraformed the whole planet. There's nothing else to do. The oxygen-rich atmosphere will be there and everything. So that's it. So yeah, I might finish it to the end. I'm, you know, really still enjoying it. You continue. YouTube should keep all messages without exception. Mark some for approval, maybe, but they really shouldn't be deleting comments without a trace. Not that this will ever change. No, I agree with you there, matey. It's a sign of the times. I would definitely want to not want to live in Hooniverse. That place is screwed. Yeah, do you know what? I fell asleep yesterday. Doctor Who came on. Don't even remember the beginning. When I woke up, the end had come on. I wanted to know what people thought of it, so I had a quick look. And the thing that amused me was it shouldn't be called Doctor Who anymore. It should be called Doctor Where. Because for the last 2 episodes, he's hardly been seen. So it's not even a Doctor Who episode again. So it's Doctor Where. Where are you? Isn't this your show? Oh, it just gets worse and worse and worse. But again, I've mentioned to other people, if other people are enjoying it, I'm so glad for you. For me, yeah. But I'll get to see it. I'll probably watch it on iPlayer if I'm, you know, when I'm recovering. I tend to find I'm falling asleep too much for me to enjoy anything anyway. You continue. I did mean what from the 1980s are you glad to leave behind? Question. Yeah. I'll have to have another think about that one then, matey, if I got the essence wrong, because I can't even remember what my answer was last week. So yeah, terrible. Beauty contests, very valid. Glad you're no longer glad they're no longer a big thing. Yeah, I mentioned it because of the things that I said we'd leave behind. There's a number of films that I watch that still refer to beauty contests, Miss Worlds and all of this sort of stuff. They're not needed. You don't need that. It was a titillation thing. Yeah, I'm glad that's gone. So your question is, how many remote controls do you have and how many can you actually find? That's an interesting one at the end. How many can you find? Believe it or not, I'm needing to use less and less remotes. A couple of years ago, a decade or so ago, I came across a very, very expensive universal remote that was touchscreen. It was the very first touchscreen universal remote. I've forgotten what the name of it was, but my mate had it. And you could program it. It had infrared, it had sound, like Wi-Fi capabilities, Bluetooth type capabilities. And you could point it at any device and it would program it itself. You could press it and it would send a signal to your receiver and send it back to you, and program all the buttons, so you didn't need to use the original remote anymore. It was £300, £399. I remember that. But it also had the ability to multi-region your players. When multi-region players were done by a code, and it wasn't that long, that wasn't that far back. They were like 30 or so digits, all ones and zeros and all this sort of stuff. And you used to be able to put that in as a sequence, send it to your remote via infrared, and it would multi-region and permanently make your player multi-region, rather than using hacks. Hacks are where you press a number of digits while in a certain menu and you get the same thing. This would permanently do it. But then the touchscreen on that started to fail. It's still upstairs. It works. But I bought what they call a Harmony remote. I don't know if I've still got it. Yeah, dude. Got it here. So I bought one of these Harmony remotes. Same sort of thing, touchscreen. Uses you pointed at things. That was, I think, Logitech Harmony. But ever since Sky have got their Q box, they integrate now, because everything integrates with Alexa.
Catch that. Please say that again.
See, Alexa hears everything. And so you can just press one button on your Skybox and it'll turn your telly on and your amp on, and it'll put it all in the same order, and that means that your amp will be ready for the sound and so forth. It basically starts it up in the right order. So I tend to find I've still got my remote for my TV, the remote for my amp, the remote for my Blu-ray 4K player, and one other. Oh, yeah, one for the Fire Stick. And I do have them independently on my little sideboard there. But I tend to find that I don't need them, really. The Harmony has become redundant. Really has. These days, and I think most universal remotes now are going to become pretty remote, pretty not used, all because of voice controlled integration, really. So there we go. I hope that answers that for you. If you want to know how many I've got, quick count in my head of all the devices I've still got in the attic, upstairs, in the front room, in the back room, and in here. 27 remotes, yes. 360 remote, Wii remote, TV for my mum, Q box for my mum, plasma TV, the DVD karaoke player in the back room, the Laserdisc player, 3 video recorders, 2 DVD players, one HD player, 2 Blu-ray players, 1 4K player. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Yeah. About that. 27, I think. Yeah. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And thanks for the maths lesson. Salute, my friend. And we get to My mate Steve. Honestly, Steve is such a great channel. You got to watch Steve's channel. If there was one that you need to sub to this week, Steve's. He's made me laugh so much this week. It's incredible. The joy of laughter. It just really turns your week around. So I do my salute to Steve. Steve, thank you so much for your channel. You bastard. Fucking hate you. Hate you really bad. Like that. Because he's just too darn good. Anyway, he starts off, as always, Del, my friend. First, I need to apologize. He always apologizes. Let's find out what it is for this week. First, I need to apologize. I skipped all of the heart stuff when you started talking about it. Well, that was an hour of my blog. Thanks. I'm not mean or uncaring, but that stuff just freaks me out. The stuff you said to me on Discord kept me awake all night worrying. Oh, that's made me think. I'm so sorry, matey, if I got you worried. That wasn't my intention. I'll stop sending those, matey. Sorry. Yes, I'm a natural worrying person, and I also have heart issues, but I refuse to go for the test they wanted me to go back to in 2005. It just creeps me out, and I can't deal with it. So please don't think I don't care. I do care. I care a lot. It's just the way I am. Sorry. I'm sure you know I wish nothing but the best for you and a speedy outcome to all this. Sorry, matey. Yeah, I'll cut it back. I didn't realise. So sorry about that, matey. The rest of the blog was great as usual. Many thanks for the kind words. You're lovely. Well, calling you a bastard and old git. Now let me throw 2 more stupid questions at you. Question 1. Starglider 1 and 2. Did you play either of them? And if so, which did you enjoy the most? Oh. Yes. Now, I had an Amiga 1000, an A1000, as most people know, and Starglider is a very early game for the Amiga. Although it was there on the Atari ST. Later on, I found out there was a Spectrum version of it. But I'll never forget loading that up the first time. It played this sample because it was from Rainbird, if I remember rightly. It had this song, this sort of like 15-second sample that went Starglider from Rainbird. And then it loaded it up. And of course, a person who loves vector graphics like Elite and Mercenary and all of those sort of things, when they're given a powerful machine, they want to see fluidity. And I hadn't got a PC at that time, and we are talking, what, we still talking 86, are we? Yeah, 85, 86. So seeing these vectors move, and to me, they were smooth then, they're jerky now, was brilliant. I played it to death. But then as programmers came along, and the same programmer went back to his own game and did a sequel, Starglider 2, he filled those vectors in. And okay, they were just like checkerboard things, red and white, lots and lots of red and white, or blue and white and black and white, to make things look like tunnels that you're flying through or flying over planets. But my God, that was brilliant. But you did notice, even as much as he'd optimized it as best as possible, that if there was little on the screen, it flew fast, and as soon as something else or a lot of stuff came on the screen, it started to slow. But if I was to ask a question, which one of those did I play the most, I would probably say Starglider 2 was. Probably because it had the bigger wow factor. Thinking about that, though, the wow factor of seeing those vector graphics in Starglider 1 move after playing games like Elite on the Commodore 64. Yeah. No flicker. It's just gorgeous. Star Gunner 2, matey. I hope that gives you your answer. Question 2. The TV program Yes Minister, in my opinion, was a real gem. Normally something I've not even bothered watching, but it grabbed me and it was hilarious. Of course, helped along by the talented Paul Eddington, Jerry Ledbetter from The Good Life. What is your opinion on Yes Minister? I must admit, back in the day, didn't get it, didn't like it. Thought, what do I want to watch about all this politics bollocks? When I got into my later teens, early 20s, and it was repeated, I liked it better, probably because I understood what was going on more, especially in the Maggie Thatcher years. Then a TV show came along called, was it The Last Statesman, with Rick Mayall? And that showed a real anarchic view of politics, along with Spitting Image. And then just recently, with all the channels like TV Gold and Dave and all of these satellite channels we've got, Yes Prime Minister has been showing up again, and I've been watching it, and I found it hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It was like, why did I not watch this? And I can only put it down to just politics can switch people off, especially at certain ages. And it makes me think at this next general election that it's going to be all again people in their mid-20s on that will vote, especially the pensioners, if they can get out. And the youngsters just don't get it, what's going on, and how their vote is imperative, because it switches them off. It's like, what do I give a shit? Will anything change by this? Nah. So I'd love it. I'd love Yes Minister to actually become a must need watch for every teenager to watch before the general election on July 4th. Like a party political broadcast. That'd be great. That's all for now, you say. Hugs to your mum and take care. I want you back to full health ASAP so you can do lots of streams to entertain me. All the best. I do my best, actually. Every video I actually do, I think about not only you, but I think about Ponder and Mamemeister and that. And you're all in sort of in the back of my head going, I can't cock this up. I've got to make it good for them. And that's not to take it away from all the other people, the good people that watch. It's just there are certain people that you have in your head going, do this right, don't balls it up. So salute, my friend. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry that I've given you some scares. I will cease to send those types of text messages to you. I didn't realise. Apologies again. Then we get to Martroid. So the tests and scans, etc. continue. Frustrating. But such is life, I suppose. Keep up the good fight, mate. And thanks for another great blog. Thank you, Martroid. Yeah, and if you haven't guessed already, the procedure's on Monday. So thank you for that. And we move, so salute. And then we get to James Chavez, who's just recently come to the channel. I don't think English is the is the first language, because I haven't quite understood some of the words, and I've had to ask for an insight on what it actually means. This one started off exactly the same way. So you had a heart prick procedure. Welcome to the club. Live on wood hearts weren't created by a ninny, which I didn't quite understand. So I had to say, I hope you wish me well. Thank you so much for watching. For which I then got a lovely response. It makes it much clearer. He's put, Delboy, heart prick is the procedure where they insert a line from your arm into your heart vein. The main trouble will be trying to force yourself to relax and know it takes only a few minutes, and it's very routine, and you'll live though it's been done twice to me, and if I'm ever going to hospital, it will likely be done again for close monitoring, they say. You're going to be back. You're still on the way too young. You're going to grow from Del Boy to Del Man, then Del Gramps. Lots of life tribulations to go, but we brush this off and go on. I believe in your untapped strength yet to be seen. Thank you. See what I mean? Very nice, lovely comment. Thank you so much. I must admit, when they was explaining it to me, they didn't say that the wire that was going up my arm was called a heart prick procedure. I remember they pricked my hand even when they were doing the ECG, when they were going to do the dye thing. It wouldn't go into my hand. They had to put it into my arm in the end because they couldn't find the vein in the top of my, the top here. That's the only time I heard them call it a prick. So, yeah. But thank you for clearing all that up. That's absolutely brilliant because, to be quite honest, all this medical is all it might as well be Quincy bollocks. You know what I mean? Look up who Quincy is. Anyway, we move forward and salute to you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching my blogs. Brilliant. Now we've got, I think it's Danny Jukes. Always only gives me the abbreviated name, so I have to click on it. Yes, it's Danny Jukes, my friend Danny. He's put great video, well worth the watch. Worth the watch. I use Discord. Also great to see you got Jack the Ripper Blu-ray. Sorry, it was a little bit broken English there, but I think I get what you mean. Great video. Glad that you're using Discord and you've got Jack the Ripper yourself. Fantastic. I've said already, Jack Ripper, probably the best $12.99 I spent last week. Absolutely marvelous. Thank you so much for all the comments and enthusiasm that you give me. I've noticed you turn up at the live streams and you always cheer me up. Your questions are they're just so insightful and intelligent. I've seen some questions come out. You just think to yourself, how much thought have you given to that question before you asked it? Right? But yours have always been just great, thoughtful ones. So thank you for that. Getting to the last two comments now. They're all one-liners. Andy Likes Stuff channel, which is, I believe that's Andy Cardboard Star Wars. He's put, nice stream, mate. Thank you so much. Loved it myself. Thank you for watching. And Jim Jam Movies, who's put, great video, my friend. And thank you so much. Most of those have got channels, and I really, really do urge you to go and look at those channels. And that comes to the end of the questions, which means we're approaching fast the end of the video. We're going to do what we watched on YouTube next. And then after that, what you guys have brought out, the ones that I follow on Discord as well. So I'll be back in just literally a couple of minutes. I'm just going to swab my face. It's quite warm. I'm getting quite heated in here. I just need to take a break for 2 minutes. It'll seem like seconds to yourself. So back in a moment. And I'm back, and it's like seconds to you. Just in real terms, it was 5 minutes. But I splashed some water on my face. I feel refreshed again. It's amazing just standing up. I think it's me sitting down for a long times as well, plus a lot of other things, lack of sleep and that. But I managed to just quickly look at the alerts on my YouTube, and lo and behold, my mate Steve's done another video. And I watched 2 minutes of it, and I know it's going to be a laugh fest because he's playing Planet Crafter and he's looking for uranium. And I don't want to give too much away, but I know full well that what he's looking for is literally a 1 minute jetpack flight away from him. And he's going to spend all 30 minutes looking for it. And probably at the end, he ain't going to have it. I hope that isn't the case. I hope he does really well in it. but I'm going to be laughing all the way through it going, you sod, what are you going in that? Oh, no. I know what this is going to end up being. It's absolutely marvellous. But I will give him one tip. He wants to build a rocket so that he can see the map better. He hasn't looked at his actual information screen on how many rockets he's actually launched. And I've got a funny feeling that if he went to that, the rocket he's preparing, he's already done. But he might see this, he might not. I don't know. I'm going to give him no hints. He's discovering in the same way I discovered in that game. Brilliant. So, watched on YouTube, fellas and gals and guys. This week in Retro and Techmoan are my two mainstays, but Techmoan had a weekend off this week. That's probably because of the bank holiday, and why not? He does it every week, and they're so informative, and the amount of production values that go into those videos can't harm having a week off. But this week in Retro had the normal free subject matters. They were Atari Goes Intelligent, Return of Sprint, Hudson Soft Turns 50. Now, it's funny because I've always said to you that I swear that they, that although I mentioned what's in their channel this week, I already covered it the week before. Return of Sprint, I mentioned, I'm sure, last week that I was getting quite excited that Super Sprint is being remade and it's got a construction editor, and lo and behold, it comes up as one of their subjects. The Atari Goes Intelligent is quite an interesting article because it's about Atari buying Intellivision, which was the console that was around at the same time as the Atari 2600, and it goes into the story of the Amico, I think it's called, where even now they're trying to bring back the Intellivision for the 21st century. None of the backers have actually seen this console yet, and it's been going for 5 or 6 years. Atari have now bought Intellivision. Whether that changes anything, watch the article. I think Atari have come back with a comment saying they're staying well clear of Amico, which means that they're going in a different direction. We will see. But anyway, this week in Retro, a must watch as always. Neil does a fantastic job. I really must go to his cave. It's like a computer museum, but it'll be almost like walking into Dixon's and W.H. Smith for me. I can't wait, really. What else have I watched this week? There's a channel called Beardo Benjo. And he did a video titled "This is VR, the most realistic VR racing experience." What it was is there's this £50 race game that was released last week. It's like a TT racer, and it looked amazing. The weather effects and all of that. And the one thing that you can't really get right on YouTube is showing the VR immersion. But but I can see when I'm looking at those visuals what it would be like, because I know what VR does when you actually put the headset on. And oh my God, would I want that game? Jesus Christ! But I tell you what, it wouldn't make me motion sick. But I don't think. I think I've worn my headset enough now that I wouldn't get that quite that way. But I would be crap at the game. That's the trouble. Certain race games, I know that the cartoony ones I can do quite well. The realistic ones, I am shit at. I really, really try my best in the Formula 1 ones. But even that, getting the wing angle correct and the suspension correct and all of these parts that you put on it, and then you have to race and going round the corners, slowing down enough to go around the corners and all that, I am shit at, because it's like I change through the gears like a mad monkey, and I get to the first turn and bang, I'm off the track. It happens every time. Love them to death though. I think everybody should have a race game in their collection. The next one I watched was Mid-Level Media. Now, I don't usually watch a lot of these. These are why they're ones I watched this week, because most of them I get sick of the please subscribe, please like, please hit the bell. I can't stand all of that. But this one was a good one, because I mentioned last week Blazing Saddles, and Blazing Saddles has just this week got a 4K announcement. So there's a 4K version of Blazing Saddles coming out. He also wanted to report on the fact that the film Furiosa, which is the latest Mad Max film, is bombing at the cinema. It was Memorial Weekend last week. It came out during Memorial long weekend for the Americans, and $170 million film took 30 million. Sad. Everybody's sort of like saying, why is it failing? Is there something about it? And everybody is sort of like speculating on that. I'll let you watch that and come to your own conclusion. I have my own, but it was an interesting article and worth a watch. The next one I watched was Obsidian Ant. Obsidian Ant. Weird name titles, by the way. And he did a video on new and impressive upcoming space games to buy on Steam. There's lots of early access stuff, and they come out really quite quick. But there are some that you've only seen a trailer for. So I'm very interested to know whether these trailers are actually going to turn into games that you can watch this year. And he did 6, and I tell you what, out of those 6, 3 have got my interest. So that's 50%. That's a good mark. I like a good space game. They do take up a lot of hours, though. And some of these mix the genre up, into free roam, crafting, some real-time strategy, and some of them mix all of them up together in one. And those excite me sometimes, those ones. Then we move on to Rick Beato, Beato. And one that I haven't watched an awful lot of. He's a guitarist in a band. Got a lot of subscribers. I think he's got something like 6,000 subscribers. He does guitar lessons, but he contemplated what is the best Carpenter's song ever made. And he got his guitar out and explained about how the chord progression worked, how the recording would have gone on, what instruments were being used. He didn't come to the same conclusion as me. I've got my own answer to what is the best Carpenter's number, but the ones he chose were equally great. So that was worth a watch if you're into your music. And then the last one was Crabapple, where there's a documentary going on at the moment in regard to the Amicus film studio, where they started, what films they came out with, and where it ended for Amicus. And they've been in my mind just recently because I've been watching a number of Hammer horror films. And at the same time as Hammer were making films, Amicus was doing some, and they sort of like ended at the same point Hammer did. But they used all of the famous actors that I used to love in Hammer, like Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and so forth. And there's one Amicus production that I've always wanted on Blu-ray, which is From Beyond the Grave. But I just refused to pay £30 for it. It's only an old 1972 anthology horror film, and I just think 30 quid without any extras or a 4K restoration or anything like that, just no. I can watch a digital copy until that comes out on 4K, but it is in my most wanted if I ever see it in a sale discs. And then we've got the ones that I always mention. They're my friends that talk about movies all the time. And some of these have helped me even in my own stream in regards to the chat I did this week. So the first one we have is Rock God 2004. My friend Nige Must subscribe to him. He cheers everybody up. And by the way, he reached 1,000 subscribers on Saturday this week. I wished him well and congratulated him on that. But he brought out a couple of videos this week. He had a parcel from Michael Hewitt, a parcel from Keith, which is from Euphoria Pictures, and an unexpected gift from me. Yay! I knew he was getting close to 1,000 as well. I was going through my box sets and noticed that I've got 2 Clint Eastwood box sets, right, on Blu-ray. A 9-disc edition and a 20 signature Blu-ray collection in a much better presentation box. But out of all of the, in both of those boxes, there is very little double dipping. Like the same film in both boxes, even though they came out at different times. But I remember our chats on a film called Play Misty for Me. And I thought to myself, I bet you any money he's only got that on DVD. And I didn't have time to look at all of his films. But I took a chance because this was in the sale. This box set, I bought it a year ago. He only got it on Friday. And I sent it to him and it came as such a surprise. And he looked at it and he went, wow. Because out of all of those films, I think he said 2 he had on DVD. The rest he hadn't even got. And I'm pretty sure he was really excited about Play Misty for Me, which is the intent. The Eiger Sanction was the second one that I wanted him to really watch. But that's the nice thing about doing nice things for other people. You get to see their face when they open it up. Lovely to see that. I don't like calling it subscriber mail. It is a gift. I know he's going through a bad time. Him and Laura are finding it very difficult health-wise at the moment. And I wanted him to know that I was still watching and wishing him well. So thank you very much for your help this week, Nige. And I'm so glad that the present is something that you'll get great enjoyment out of. I look forward to all of your reviews, whether they're from me or not. Brilliant stuff. Then we've got my friend Ian Hill, the Ramblings, and I've mentioned him already this week, and I do my Wednesday chat with him. Just this week, look at this. There's a roll call for how many videos? Top 5 Black Sabbath albums, top 5 Eagle albums, top 5 Kylie Minogue albums, the film Forsaken, the film review Brave One, the film review of Man for All Seasons, X-Files episodes, season 1, episode 22, amongst a couple of others. And you try keeping up with all of that. If you'd have to be off work to catch them all. But my God, so much content, so much knowledge. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely marvellous. And if you can join us on a Wednesday, absolutely marvellous. And then you got Euphoria Pictures, my mate Keith in Ireland. His production values speak for themselves. He did scenes from films that scared me when I was young. What an interesting video, because you see so many videos that review films or talk about the picture quality, the sound quality, the casing, the booklets that come with it, what the film's about. But do you get many that actually go back and say, hey, here are scenes from specific films that scared the shit out of me when I was a youngster? Not many. Definitely worth a watch. And then he did Dr. Sleep unboxing, which is Dr. Sleep is the follow-up to The Shining. A very fan favourite film is The Shining, and one that I love. I watch that loads of times. Brilliant film. And then, of course, the last one, and it's not by least, it's Sammy G, who's only just started, doing really well. He did his Blu-ray collections, part 14 and 15, and a vinyl update. Every single one of those guys, worth a watch. The ones that I mentioned at the end are worth a sub, for definite. Don't even hesitate. Like I say, Nige Sammy, all worth a watch. Euphoria Pictures, if you've not subbed to him by now, where the bloody hell have you been? That's a must. And we're now on the last page, which is your YouTube, or should I say YouTube of my friends that have been around since I started and are into the hobby of computers, consoles, games, etc., etc. And we start off with my mate down the rabbit hole, Kevin. Brilliant. Trying to keep up with him is quite difficult sometimes, but not probably quite as much as Robert's retro gaming. But he did a couple this week. He did I don't like Zelda. Will I like this game called Tunic? So yeah, there's not many people that will actually turn around and say, do you know what, Zelda? Not for me. Wow. When you consider the influence Zelda has. But brilliant. Then he came up with one that I was surprised by because he didn't know that it was there. And that is that Pitfall, the old game that we used to play on the Atari 2600, actually had an arcade game release. Yes, I knew that. It was done by Sega. And it's not the best arcade game in the world. Then you consider you can play it at home. And when you consider that the game isn't really designed to be an arcade game, you die, but you go back to the beginning. There are checkpoints. It's mostly a time-driven game. You've got to do this in so many hours. So in an arcade game where you get 3 lives, and it works on the basis that once you're dead, you're dead. It doesn't quite work. There is a time element in it. You can put more quarters in to get more time. But at the end of the day, you've got the game at home. So, yeah, apart from some better graphics, it's really not geared that way. So, not really worth it. And the last one he did was Kenner's Large Size Vader and Stormtrooper. Because Kevin also likes collecting little Star Wars miniatures, you know, the Kenner little action figures. But they do the larger ones as well, and he's got some of those, and he wanted to show them off. And I tell you what, the amount of articulation that are in these Kenner ones aren't too bad. I mean, of course, they're no hot toys, but they're brilliant. So definitely give Down the Rabbit Hole a consideration. And then we get to Robert's Retro Gaming, and here's where I just need to read it out. This is gaming royalty. My God, the amount of stuff he brings out. He did Minecraft episodes 25 and 26, Dwarf Fortress episode 2, an Atari ST review of Blood Money and Wings of Death, a Commodore 64 review of Dan Dare and E-Droid, a Spectrum review of Elevation Action, and a couple of 8-bit reviews of Space Travel and Home Pong. My God, total that up. It's got to be 2 a day. Got to be. Wow, just no brainer. Sub now. Leave this, go sub, come back. Brilliant. Then we've got Steve's Gaming, and he actually has just apologized just now when I was taking a little break. He said, I haven't done anything of my 8-bit games. I've just been playing StarCraft and I'm having a shitty time, he said. And it upsets me to know that because I think sometimes that might have been my fault. So to the world, I apologize for not cheering Steve up. I only wish him the best. But if you wanted to know, I put on here that this week he's done episodes 22 to 27. Correction, episodes 22 to 28. Marvelous. Fantastic. I mean, that's one a day, isn't it? Marvelous. Then we get to 20th Century Gaming. 20th Century Gaming is Mark. Mark's got his own channel. Brilliant. He did a Commodore 64 live stream, and he did a long playthrough of a game called Attack of the Blue Bomber. I watched both of them, although the playthrough, because I like to play the games myself, I don't want to know too many secrets, sort of skimmed through that one. But the live stream's always fun. Then we get to Seb's place, and as I told you before, Seb's production values are incredible. Incredible. He did I have found the worst Commodore 64 game ever. Prove me wrong. and he gave a very constructive answer on why this game is crap. And I have to agree. What a pile of pants did I see in that video. Awful. Last two, we get to Colin Jones, aka Ponder, my mate, who I talked about earlier on. He did his cycle adventures. He puts a camera on his cycle, travels to work, and the amount of arseholes that are on the road at the moment that don't give any consideration to bikes. Anyway, he's up to episode 185 videos on disasters just waiting to happen on the road. And the last one is Mamemeister. What can we say about Mamemeister? He's my friend, the one who got me into this. He did his Sunday live stream. He did a video called Mind Bending Commodore 64 Game Demo. And absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't believe that the 64 can still do this. And he did a nice and nasty podcast with someone called Mike Tucker. And the only thing missing out of the whole of that stuff is he didn't do a waffle this week. He ran out of time. But he has assured us that he will be back next week, and he's probably going to do one on Monday. And that's the end of everything until I show you what I've bought this week. And I tell you what, it's a lot. But all different various prices, all different reasons for having them. I will change camera view, and we can get crack-a-lacking. There we go. So we've changed this camera. There we get El Cid. El Cid with Charlton Heston and Sophia Loren. A 1958 film, is it? Something like that. I'll have to look. It's very small writing. I don't know if you can see. But the two versions on this film, on here, one is 180 minutes and one is 175, showing in its true ratio. I love El Cid. It's up there with the other Charlton Heston epics like the Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, Planet of the Apes. El Cid is one of those films that I think Charles Heston turned around and said, I'd like to go back because there are things that I would do differently with my mature head on. Sadly, now that he's passed, there's no way that that's going to happen. But we do still have the original El Cid, and it's worth a watch. Then we get to the 40th anniversary, and it's the 40th anniversary of Star Trek: The Search for Spock. Everybody knows I'm a big Star Trek fan. I've got this on steelbook already. I've got the 4K of it. I've now got it in a steelbook. It's embossed. It's gorgeous. Well worth a watch if you can actually get that now. It is quite difficult sometimes to get steelbooks unless you pre-order. Then we get an oddity, Planet of the Vampires. There we go. Interesting because it's one of Joe Dante's favourite films. It's a French, very in the mould of Barbarella type film. The colours really pop, even if the sets and everything don't. But it's one of those scare fests in space. Definitely worthy of your attention, and a recommendation from myself and Sammy on that one. Always a fan favourite, this next one. The Italian Job, the 55th anniversary edition, and it came out this week. So this has got your 4K disc plus a book of extras. There's things like pamphlets and stickers and all sorts of stuff in there. What can you say about The Italian Job that hasn't been said already? One of the best intros, one of the nicest tunes at the beginning of the film. Brilliant. So many little one-liners. Then you've got from Disney, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I watched. I think it was in 8 parts. It wasn't too bad. Some people looked at it as a cash grab. I thought they were a bit harsh. It's not that bad at all. Get to the last two. The Italian version of Twilight Zone, the movie. I've got the DVD of this, but didn't know that I hadn't got the Blu-ray. I looked for the Blu-ray in British, and it's a fortune. It's like 88 quid. Bought the Italian version for $7.99. Go figure. Same transfer and everything. Definitely worth a watch. Then you've got the Clint Eastwood box set that I bought for Nigel this week. I've had mine for a couple of years. 9 films on there. I'll just turn it around so you can see yourself. Then pause it. There we go. Definitely worthy your attention. I've had that for a while. That's just one that I watched this week. And then one that I've bought because of a recommendation from Nigel and several others. And it's going out of print soon, and it's very, very cheap. And that is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's got a scarecrow on the front. I'll just bring them back up so you can freeze frame it and look. It's an anthology horror film, so it's right up my street. And that's the end. Thank you so much. We're going to do my playing movies, trailers, and come back and wind this up. So we'll change to media player, and we'll double click on the first one. There are several videos here, some that I've bought, some that I've watched. I hope you can leave a comment about that for next week. And here we go.
Among our people, we have a word for a warrior with a vision to be just and the courage to be merciful. We call such a man El Cid. From the blood and conflict of medieval Spain came the greatest hero of all time. The beautiful Ximena de Gomez. Theirs was so great a love that the full fury of a cruel fate could not extinguish its passionate fire.
You bought your honor with my sorrow.
There was no other way for me. The man you chose to love could do only what I did.
Why did you come, Rodrigo? Did you think the woman you chose to love could do less than you?
But my love won't die.
Kill it.
You kill it! Tell me you don't love me.
Here, amid the pomp and the pageantry of the Spanish court, one man's unswerving loyalty enriched the splendor of chivalry. A man who knew the warmth of happiness and love. And yet before his fearless integrity, even the king was humbled.
Do you swear that you had no part by way of design in King Sancho's death? I swear it! If you are forsworn, may you die such a death as your brother did, struck from behind by the hand of a traitor. Say amen.
You press me too far, Rodrigo.
Say amen.
Would you take me with you?
No, I have nowhere to take you.
I love you, Rodrigo.
Open the gates! For God, Alfonso, and for Spain! God, Alfonso, and Spain!
For Clint Eastwood, an invitation to terror.
You ever find yourself being completely smothered by somebody?
There's no escape in passion. There's no escape in speed. There's no escape from terror.
change the locks, huh?
Nobody asked you to wait for it.
You're not jumping me, Buster Blue Eyes!
Get off my back, Evelyn.
Play Misty for me.
Get off my back.
Play Misty for me.
Get off my back.
Play Misty for me.
Get off my back.
Play Misty for me.
The most terrifying words you'll ever hear. Play Misty for me. The screen's most frightening plunge into terror.
Have to get you all nice for David. I hope he likes what he sees when he walks in here. Because that's what he's taking to hell with him.
Just hope we're lucky enough to grab her the next time she tries it.
Tries what?
To kill you.
The next scream you hear will be your own.
Bloody foreigners.
Voy a prender a sinistra. It's low, Charlie.
What is the Italian job?
A seating chaos, a smash and grab raid, and $4 million.
$4 million? I think we could take that over, Roger. Go! You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Good evening, Mr. Bridger.
Croker.
I've got a job lined up.
Get out of here.
It's all here. Maps, drawings, plans, everything.
You've been put up to this, haven't you? You've been bribed to upset my natural rhythm and ruin my health. Michael Caine does the Italian job on the outside.
Now, go round. Get in front of me.
And masterminding the job from the inside, Noel Coward. Two gentlemen on the job.
Does Mr. Bridger think he can take over Europe from a prison cell?
Wait till you see them Italian birds.
Oh, they're big. I like them big.
Enormous.
Really? Big. Also on the Italian job, Ralph Falone, Tony Beckley, Maggie Bly, Rossano Brazzi. I want Charlie Croker given a good going over.
Hello, Charlie. Lovely, Charlie. Nice, Charlie. Good to see you, Charlie. Now, what would you like?
Everything.
Hey! Knock that bloody water cannon out! Hurry up, Dominic!
This is a foreign job to help with this country's balance of payments.
June 24th, 4 acclaimed directors, George Miller, John Landis, Joe Dante, and Steven Spielberg, take you to another dimension.
time for a landing, Brad.
Okay.
In a 40G gravity atmosphere, a strange thing happens to man's body and mind. Barry Sullivan and Norma Bengell take you into the most fantastic science fiction adventure ever filmed.
Emergency! Emergency! Conditions desperate. Little chance of survival. Help us.
Mark, look!
What have you got?
The Galliot.
Bert, get me a fix on this right now. Wes, Brad, controls.
Planet of the vampires. Harboring a form of life worse than death. Planet of the bloodless. Creatures who take men's bodies, but attack like vampires.
I'll tell you this, if there are any intelligent creatures on this planet, they're our enemies.
In this outer space world, the living dead try to escape into life.
Salas. No, just his body. And I'm just one of many beings on this planet. And we're fighting to survive. It's imperative that our race continue to exist. We arranged for several of you to kill each other so that we could take over your bodies. You are our last chance.
No, never. We'll all of us give up our lives to save our own race.
All that they've loved, all that they've fought for, all that they've stood for, will now be put to the test. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
The word, sir? The word is no. I am therefore going anyway.
You do this, you'll never sit in the captain's chair again.
Engage auto systems. Clear all moorings.
Cleared, sir.
1/4 impulse power.
Someone is stealing the Enterprise.
Warp speed.
Klingon bird appraiser. She's arming torpedoes.
Shields up.
The shield's non-responsive.
Fuck! We're a sitting duck.
Join us on this, the final voyage of the Starship Enterprise. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. The adventure continues.
There we go. There's some trailers for you. A lot of those I've seen many times. And it's interesting, the Star Trek one, because somebody asked a question last week, how many times have you bought the same film? And the Star Trek ones keep coming back to me as ones that I keep buying. And it's amazing that there's probably nothing new for me to watch in these films, but I love going back to them. The 4K transfers are still quite new for Star Trek, so that's nice. So at least there's something new for me to watch. But the 40th anniversary, God, does time go quick. I remember going to the cinema for that. This was at a time that I was wanting to go out with this girl. I mentioned it a number of times. We had a sort of a computer club that I would go and see her brother, but it was really her that I was going to go and see, really. I had a bit of a crush. And the crush was obviously there because she liked everything I did. You know, she liked Doctor Who, Star Trek, loved music. I remember that she went to Woolworths and bought the Search for Spock soundtrack. I didn't have any money that week because I'd bought a Commodore 64 game for the computer club. And I went into her bedroom And she went, oh, have a look at this. I went, okay. And it was a single record, but it was a double album, you know. The gatefold opened up, and you saw the Enterprise on one side and the Klingon bird of prey on the other. It was actually, it's an actual still from inside that trailer. And I remember it to this day and going, wow. And then she'd put on tracks, and I said, which was your favourite track? Her name was Jo. And she said, oh, for definite, Stealing the Enterprise. And many years later, and I've come to appreciate James Horner. And that track is still an absolute corker of a track. Stealing the Enterprise. What a track that is. I mean, I've always turned around and said I've loved Jerry Goldsmith and what he did for Star Trek and what he's done for movies, soundtracks through all the decades. So versatile and so different for all of his films. But my God, Stealing the Enterprise, what a track. Yeah. And that's brought a happy memory to me. What am I going to be doing for the rest of the day? Washing the car and the inside because I want my brother-in-law to have a nice car to drive in tomorrow. Something for my mum. Possibly play a game. Take my mind off of things with Mamemeister later on with his Sunday live stream. And then hopefully have a good night ready for my procedure tomorrow. And I'm trying not to think about that. Try not to dwell on it. I want to end on a happy note. I hope you enjoyed this blog. And thank you so much for just joining in. It cheers me up no end to keep doing these. And I hope there's some knowledge in there. I hope there's some fun in there. Thanks for sticking around. And I do what I always do at the end of my videos. Salute. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.